in life, there are decades when nothing changes, but there are days when a decade changes. If I twist this with more like a reality ka tadka, I can say with certainty that the institution or the place where we are sitting right now, Taj, irrespective of the turn of the decade, irrespective of the twist and the turn in the world, this is a built to last institution. So as we celebrate the glorious history of Taj and Indian hotels, they complete, by the way, 120 saal. We'll look back into past, we'll talk about the future, and we'll talk about the present. And to do that, it gives me great pleasure to really bring to do a jugalbandi of two friends. आप दोनों दोस्त हैं?
बिल्कुल दोस्त भी हैं, प्रोफेशनल भी हैं. प्रोफेशन की वजह से दोस्ती हुई क्योंकि साथ में पढ़ाई करी थी. इस प्रोफेशन की पढ़ाई करी थी तो yes.
Such a pleasure to have both of you, and such a pleasure to really talk about what really has been a icon of Indian history, the Taj, the grandeur, the luxurious history. जहाँ कहते हैं ना इतिहास लिखा गया है. And like I said at the beginning, that we can say with a lot of certainty, in fact with certainty that कुछ भी हो जाए, this is an institute which is built to last. So Chhatwal sahab, what has made Taj Taj?
I think without dwelling too much into past, एक चीज तो बोलनी पड़ेगी. You know, Taj and Indian Hotels is the oldest operating company of Tata Group. And this was the vision of the founder that made it happen. The first electrified building in the country. And Taj is not just a hotel. Taj is not just an icon. Taj is not just a temple of hospitality. Taj actually is an emotion. And I have worked across the globe, but I've never seen this kind of connect that people have. Taj Dil Se. So of course there is luxury and there is timelessness and there is excellence and all that stuff is there, but that many people have, many brands have. And I would say Taj is the national crown jewel because this is one name that is traveled across the national frontiers to the most important destinations in the world and has seen the World War I and the World War II and the various pandemics, including the last one, and has always risen to the occasion and done not the right things, but has done everything right also. So I think that is what exemplifies this great brand coming from the great house of Tatas. And I think we are very blessed to have had the opportunity to work here.
Is it Tatas who made all the difference to Taj?
Of course. I think Tatas as a group made a difference by building the Taj. And over the years, the cultural narrative, you know, the founder's narrative of community being at the core of what you do, created that spirit of what we call Tajness, and that got into the DNA of all our associates, which is today 32,000 plus. That really differentiates us to the rest of the global luxury, timeless brands in the world.
Mr. Kapoor, the minute I say Taj, it's just a connection as a consumer, grandness and luxury. As an entrepreneur, as an hotelier, as somebody who's part of the industry, how would you define Taj?
Very good question, Nikunj. I think what Mr. Chhatwal said was that Taj is an emotion. Actually, when you make that, buildings don't emote. It's people that emote. So for that emotion, it's not a one-way thing. When people emote, if somebody does not react to that emotion has no meaning, right? So if I laugh, you don't react, my laughter has no meaning. I cry, you don't feel sad, emotion has no meaning. So what Taj as an institution founded by House of Tatas created set of values, as he said, for people to imbibe, people meaning people working here, that to be felt by people who used this brand over the years, they felt at home, where this is place of business. But to have that ability where you can transact, yet give people that comfort that it's, wow, it's my place. Very few brands can do that. And to be able to do that, the softness it needs, the Tajness that it delivers, I think that has created this into a place where people can stay, people can eat, people can have different experiences, they can get married, they can just come here. If they're coming into India, this is one place that they would want to come and see.
So as I keep, to add to what Sanjeev just now said, everything about the emotion, the happy moments and the sad moments he was referring to, these actually are defined by the name Taj itself and the core values it has. It has three key core values. The T stands for trust. Trust of all our stakeholders, not just our guests and our customers, but all stakeholders. Trust is important to us. A is the awareness of what's happening around us and in our communities. It's more than just servicing in a hotel and creating great food and the best of the delights, and joy in doing what you do every day.
During the terror attack, I mean, this brand and this building itself, in a sense, really represent the rise with India. That what grit, conviction, trust, and actually teamwork can do. It's an extraordinary example of that. Now, as a CEO, it's a challenge. Can I say it could be challenge when you have to manage the three T's: trust of the customer, trust of the shareholder, and demand of the board?
Not really. I think if you...
Which is the easiest one to manage? Customer to are happy. Now shareholder and the board. उनकी बात बताइए.
I think board is a guiding light. I think the board guides the management and helps it navigate through all possible challenges that come across the way, and also is able to guide and show what we should be doing that we are currently not doing. So I think that's more of a guide. When it comes to shareholders, if you promise and you deliver, that's all you have to do. Exactly. So you have to give a guidance and meet those expectations and ideally exceed those expectations. I personally don't believe in under promise and over deliver, but yes, what you promise, you deliver, and preferably a bit more than what you promised.
So your guidance is conservative.
It should always be, because things happen which are beyond your reasonable control or influence. And I think prudent management would always guide, but not be like always gang-ho that everything will be great, because nobody knows what's happening. Look at in the world we are living in, anything can happen and everything comes very fast. It also goes away that fast. So I think the trust of all stakeholders, I would repeat, is the key. And that includes all the three that you mentioned. And we remain blessed to have that trust of all possible stakeholders.
Mr. Kapoor, time and again, we've had multiple conversations with Mr. Chhatwal as to why the entire hotel industry is in a multi-year uptrend. And you're talking about a couple of years. Last time when we spoke to you, you said that the food industry is at an embryonic stage in terms of where the trends are mapping. We are talking about whether it is the millennial traveler or the one life to live traveler, YOLO traveler. Things are changing. Do you think that this whole wave of अच्छे दिन is here to stay? बड़े दिनों बाद use कर रहा हूँ अच्छे दिन. Election आने वाले हैं.
See, I think ये मैं कल ही किसी को मैं बता रहा था कि story has just begun.
Okay.
And ये जो goodness, feel good, that we are experiences, people were thinking, they were probably testing. Ki, how long would it stay? Is it here to stay?
Yes.
And it's like the share आप index देखें तो लगता है कि is it here to stay? Is it नहीं कब? But you look at historic data, right? So I think in India, what we are seeing, and it's not just consumerism. At many fronts, India is changing. Whether it's the demographic dividend that's there, it is how the world is perceiving of us, how we have been able to go to other parts of the world and influence that world by just being there. So they may have, so when an Indian goes to America or to many other countries, like let's say in case of Mr. Chhatwal, he went to Germany. So we have planted many seeds many years ago in many parts of the world. But at heart, they think good for India. So now it's not just people who live in India. The world is praying that India does well, and it has started with those results. So it's here to stay. I think our lifetime and maybe next generation, that's my bet.
Did you buy the share of Indian Hotels?
Many years. Before he came in, I've been there. My father always believed in House of Tata.
Okay.
So multiple shares. And actually during when the...
Did you double up your position after it? That is more important.
No, so one thing, my dad was a banker. One thing he always said that no tip. You will not ever talk to anyone and make that decision, no matter how tempting it is. And I have stayed like that.
If Mr. Kapoor's company was listed, would you buy the stock?
Anything that he has done, I've always admired. We were in the same class in 1981, and he was very good in college also.
People tell me yours is like a Jai Viru friendship, a Sholay wali friendship.
More after college, so not during college days, but when we became management trainees together, we went through some strikes, we went through some difficult challenges, situations, which is very good because that gives you the resilience that you need later on in life. I would bet on anything that he would do for a very simple reason. For last 40 years, I've seen him always being a bit ahead of the curve or ahead of the time, and feel very, very proud to say that even on your show, that he's the one who put the chef profession on the map.
Yes.
The word cook, bawarchi, whatever
What he taught
was
me,
gone.
No, man, I actually tried the spaghetti. It came out very well, actually. Thanks to your recipe.
So he said, I cannot cook. I said, now you'll start cooking.
So every childhood friendship has this one Jai Viru image, right? एक बाइक चलाता था, एक पीछे बैठता था. तो इस केस में who was the
बाइक
ही नहीं थी.
कहानी खत्म.
Which is one recipe of Taj you would like to change? बोला ये change करो भाई, मतलब.
नहीं ऐसा
कौन, which is one restaurant?
Actually, I don't think food के अंदर इतनी सारी there are so many permutations and combinations that each one has their own style, and you cannot say कि ये change कर देना. I always believe that we cannot change things, and we should not.
In individual sectors.
What's the sense that you're getting on both?
Just clarify this entire case.
What is it going to mean for the business?
What else are you looking at?
This is clearly one of the biggest deals.
At ET now, I've been getting you bit by bit.
and decision paves the way for a new beginning. So it's crucial to grasp the intricacies of our investments and finances. A brighter future hinges on being aware and making informed choices about your investment. Join us in this journey towards financial empowerment and a prosperous tomorrow in our exclusive show, Har Ghar Ek Investor with Vishal and Meghna Malkan.
You mentioned and spoke about one very big thing was I got initially a lot of losses. What were your biggest learning out of that?
The only thing in the market which you can do is you can decide your entry and you can decide your stop loss. How the market will perform, we have no control over that. We can control only our losses. And that's the hard lesson I learned.
Every home should have one investor. Har Ghar Ek Investor. What do this mean?
It's all about creating awareness. There is a possibility that you can strive towards financial independence. You could have a parallel source of income while you work on your business, your employment, or you take care of your house.
Unlock the key to success by embracing the right mindset and delving into every aspect of your investment in our exclusive show. Watch the episode at these times only on ET Now.
पापा जी, कैमरा उल्टा है आपका। शीर्षासन कहते हैं इसे। इस टाइम
पापा स्ट्रेस कम कर रहे हैं। घर नहीं बिक रहा ना।
इसे बेच के नए घर का पेमेंट करना था, लेकिन ढंग के बाहर से नहीं मिल रहे।
पापा जी घर बेचना है तो मैजिक ब्रिक्स पे आइए। यहाँ पे हजारों सेलर्स रोज मिलते हैं लाखों बायर्स से,
ताकि प्रॉपर्टी जल्दी बिके और बेटर प्राइस मिले।
अब आप सीधे हो जाइए।
कुछ लोगों के लिए मैं टेढ़ा ही रहूंगा।
You know, I'm going to just now, when this show will go on air, you'll actually see this graph which will come, which will actually capture the history of Indian hotels. And Taj has had a lot of change, change in terms of the top management. But I would like to call the last 5 years as perhaps one of the toughest periods for Taj. And one of the toughest periods for Taj because of COVID, but one of the best period for shareholders in terms of the return they've given, the P multiple, the respect, the how shareholding in a sense, has really, spread across. And really from a Tata Group standpoint, I can certainly say that internally, I'm sure everyone must be saying that a backbencher bhi ab aage aa gaya. Really, nobody expected this kind of a magical turnaround from Indian Hotel.
I think it would be fair to say that Taj was always most iconic brand, and the palaces and this hotel itself. Our predecessors did a great job, and or our forefathers, if you want to call it.
What have you done differently?
I think it's not that we have done, they always say right time, right place, right strategy, right execution. India changed. See, this is...
so tailwind changed?
The whole macroeconomic perspective changed, the whole focus on business, governance, expectation, all that narrative changed. And I think, as you mentioned earlier, almost all Tata Group companies. But sure, it helps when the country is going through a change. If the country is landing on the southern part of moon, the country is planning a mission to the sun. There is a lot of happening. The Indian diaspora, as Sanjeev mentioned, is becoming so strong outside of India. And they've done so well. Most of the global companies' CEOs, if we took a percentage, I would say people of Indian origin feature very high in their share of leadership positions. So a lot has changed, which was maybe unthinkable, unimaginable 30, 40 years ago.
So I would say that for me, as a market commentator, if I look at Taj, what has changed, I guess the number one for me is the innovation part. Innovation without compromising on the customer experience, and then also maybe the motto that a happy customer does not mean happy shareholder, but they both can be happy. I guess for me, if I look at Mr. Chhatwal, the way you've really twisted it around, you've made it this very difficult equation look easy.
Yeah, so I think there are two things, and one is definitely innovation. What I would say, if I were to non-passionately say, agility, definitely. Agility. So look at the way Ama, look at cumin.
Chambers.
Look at
ginger.
New opportunities, growth, right? So the agility and then ability to execute. Second, because I work across industries, I've always maintained, I come from an industry where there was some, is still there. What is that? It's inefficiency. That inefficiency, to plug those inefficiency and bring that. Once you bring, actually correct those inefficiencies, who's happy? Shareholders are very happy.
So, Mr. Chhatwal, this in a sense is the best quarter for the hotel industry. How is Christmas or Q3 2023 different from 2022? The base bada, the absolute number will be higher. But what is the differentiating factor?
Not much. I think what is changing is the infrastructure in India, and that is driving performance, especially in your key metros. Yeah. If we say Mumbai has now got Jio, if there is an event happening in Jio, everything in 5 kilometer radius is sold out. Then you have Bharat Mandapam in Delhi or Yashobhumi also in Dwarka and Delhi. Now, if you get maybe just one big event every quarter in a year, it changes the entire occupancy and rate structure for the hotels for the next 3, 4, 5 days when that event is happening. This was not possible before. The connectivity between various cities, before it was Delhi, Agra, now it is Delhi, Jaipur, the entire highway being built, Delhi, Mumbai. The investment and the spend by the government in infrastructure has a direct correlation in the success of hospitality business. That's number one. Number two is events like G20 are putting Indian pictures on the world map. You don't have immediate results, but these are lasting pictures, lasting impact, is the best form of marketing of Destination India that could have happened. There is a third factor. Is because of COVID, supply got constrained as the hospitality sector was demolished. So when demand has come back, it is creating a gap between the demand and supply, and that is not only moving occupancies, is your ability to charge is quite high. And that is going to stay like this for at least foreseeable future, unless there is some big event that happens that none of us know, but then that would impact all sectors, all industries, etc. So I think given these three factors, we are very pleased because we have a very strong, not like-for-like growth. We are opening 2 hotels a month, and with the right balance of hardly anything which is owned, and whatever is owned is in key locations. And the rest is based on fee-based, asset-light model, as people call it, or management contracts. And also in various other brands. I mean, we are venturing out even in a standalone restaurant, which is opening, let's say, in the next few days in Singapore, the Bombay Brasserie. Cuminization of ginger. Each ginger will have a cumin all-day dining. So we'll have, just by virtue of doing that, without spending any money, we would have 100 cumin-branded restaurants. That will be first of its kind, at least in the Indian subcontinent. So I think all in all, a strategic fit with the right macroeconomics, right strategy, as Sanjeev said, agility, and executed really in a very focused manner should help not just us, but I think all our brands and also, generally speaking, the sector in moving forward in a very robust fashion.
How much of your projected business will come from initiatives which you've started? For example, Cumin, Ama. These are new initiatives which are not part of your core portfolio. Your luxury hotel, palace hotel, safaris, they were part of the existing portfolio before you took over. How much of the new business will come from these?
In the short term, we are aiming for 25% of the total revenue at an enterprise level.
And the highly profitable business?
These are all highly profitable.
So that's a new thing which so you added another layer, which in a sense, 25% is a big number.
It can move the needle on the base level itself.
And operating leverage kicks in. Because this in a sense has been incubated with very little capital.
With very little capital, and it will take a few years to get there, but ultimately, if we can have that mix, And Taj continues to contribute, let's say, around 60% of the total revenue. Today it is at 70 plus. So that doesn't mean it goes down. In absolute amount, it will go up. But that means other brands begin to thrive. Other brands also begin to contribute and grow. And that's a journey we have to go through. And it takes, I think we would have already been 70, 80% there if we had not lost 2 years because of COVID.
So if I put a thumb rule, which is that let's look at nominal GDP growth. Nominal GDP growth in India is 6 plus 5 or 7 plus 4, whatever we want to look at it. Can I say that that is the threshold at which you will grow minimum, both in terms of occupancy, in terms of ARR, and also in terms of growth? I mean, is that the threshold?
I don't think we in our sector calculate that way, but definitely if we look at the trend of the last years, except for the growth over a COVID year, because we had dropped so badly that the growth was also so much exponential. Based on whatever we have reported in Q1, Q2, business on the books, and whatever we have seen of the 2 months that we have completed in Q3, the number that you mentioned, 7 plus 4 or 6 plus whatever,
6 plus 5,
a double-digit growth in top line is a no-brainer in the short term.
Short term is
at least the next 2 years, 24 months. I don't see any difference.
That's short term. 2 years is short term.
चलो बहुत सीरियस बात हो गई. कोई कॉलेज का किस्सा?
कॉलेज का किस्से बहुत सारे कॉलेज के किस्से
अनसेंसर्ड.
ओके सो एक
जो किसी को नहीं पता है.
जो किसी को नहीं पता
Even your,
ओके I'll tell you. So we are
better halves don't know about this.
नहीं ऐसा कुछ नहीं. We are completing 40 years next year हमारे कॉलेज के.
Okay.
And काफी लोग मिल रहे हैं और उम्मीद कर रहे हैं कि मिस्टर चटवाल आएंगे. मिस्टर चटवाल हाँ बोल के राजी नहीं है.
ऐसा क्यों?
There is a clash in the date with ITB in Berlin, which is the most important trade fair हमारे उसमें. Now that हमने Frankfurt sign किया है और उसको अगले साल खोलना है, I am the only German-speaking person in the company. मैं ही वहाँ पे नहीं होगा तो there is an expectation कि at least I should be there. So there is a clash. We'll see.
तो रैप करने से पहले वो जय वीरू बोल सकते हैं ना जी?
कॉलेज में बोल सकते हैं.
जय और वीरू कौन है बता दो पहले. कौन जय कौन वीरू?
जो शरीफ वाला होगा मैं ही होऊंगा.
It's such a pleasure to have you, and we are just celebrating this 120 years of Taj. कहते हैं ना कि हंसते हंसते 120 साल निकले, हंसते हंसते 120 साल और निकलेंगे. हम रहना रहे ताज और ताजनेस जरूर रहे. Thank you very much, and cheers to cheers to the year gone by, and cheers to a lovely year 2024. Thank you much. You've been always very nice and kind with your time. And Chef Kapoor, it's such a pleasure. मतलब मेरे अच्छे दिन है that I've met you twice in last 1 month. So things indeed, it's been, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Nikunj.
Thank you. Thank you.
And cheers to 120 years.
Cheers to 120 years.